True attraction does not come from trying to impress, but from the way you live and express yourself naturally. I have realized that when you are yourself, you don't have to try too hard to attract attention. Then that attraction is sustainable. What matters is your confidence, the way you communicate, and the respect you show others. Truly attractive men don't try to show off. They simply are who they are, and that makes people around them feel safe and attractive. True attraction comes from within you. First impressions are extremely powerful. I remember the first time I met a friend, she didn't say much, but the way she looked at me, the way she smiled created a strong impression from the first moment. Not because of her looks or flashy words, but because of the confidence, calmness, and respectful attitude she displays. The first impression is not what you say, but the feeling you give others. It is something intangible, but it is the foundation for creating a deep connection later. When you make a strong first impression, you not only leave a mark on the other person's mind, but you also open the door for a long-term relationship. The nonverbal language of confidence is truly powerful. I have met people who don't need to say much, but can make you feel that they are very stable and trustworthy. The way they stand, the way they look you in the eye, even the way they move, it all exudes confidence. One time I met a friend. She didn't talk much, but every time she spoke, I felt the strength in the way she looked into my eyes without avoiding it. It's a clear sign of confidence. Likewise, confidence comes not only from words, but also from gestures, eyes, and how you express yourself through actions. When you know who you are and aren't afraid to show it, you naturally attract attention. Patience and composure in communication are factors I really value. I've realized that sometimes just keeping quiet for a bit and letting the air settle, things become a lot clearer. During conversation, when I don't rush to give an immediate answer, when I allow myself time to think, I feel the relationship deepen. Composure creates a feeling of security and makes the other person feel respected. One time when a friend shared a very stressful issue, I just listened without rushing to give advice or judgment, and this made her feel much more comfortable. Patience is not just about waiting, but about knowing how to maintain yourself, not letting emotions overwhelm reason. When you're patient and calm, you create space where you can truly connect. There are small gestures, seemingly insignificant, but they carry great power in creating connection. I remember that time when I simply put my hand on her shoulder when she felt stressed. This gesture does not require words, but makes her feel reassured and understood. A gentle touch, a caring look, or a warm smile can convey emotions that words cannot express. Those small actions can create a deeper connection than you think, making others feel loved and appreciated. The appeal of mystery is very powerful indeed. I've realized that when you leave a little something unexplored, others will feel interested and want to learn more about you. I remember one time I didn't share everything about myself from the beginning, but just left a few open questions, making the other person feel curious. She started paying more attention, wanting to find out what I hadn't said. That is the attraction of mystery, not creating distance, but evoking the desire to learn and discover each other. Ambiguity can be a powerful tool when used properly. I've learned that instead of always giving clear answers, sometimes leaving a little ambiguity can create curiosity and interest. For example, in a conversation, I may not tell everything about myself at once, but only share a small part, making the other person want to learn more. This creates a space for them to think and explore, which in turn creates a deeper connection. Ambiguity is not an avoidance, but a way to pique interest and keep the relationship fresh. Strategic silence is truly powerful. I realize that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. For example, during a stressful conversation, instead of reacting immediately, I often choose to remain silent for a while. This is not to avoid it, but to let the atmosphere calm down, giving everyone space to think. This silence creates an attraction because others will begin to feel curious, wanting to understand you better. That's when you show composure and self-control, and this deepens the relationship. Playing the long game in relationships is a strategy I've learned over time. Instead of rushing things too quickly, I realized that patience and the ability to build relationships slowly is what creates sustainability. One time, I decided not to rush into revealing everything about myself during our first meetings. I let things develop naturally so that others feel curious and want to discover more about me. And this really helped me build a deep connection, not rushed, but sustainable over time. Playing the long game is about building anticipation so that each meeting is a new opportunity to learn more about each other. Creating an emotional impact isn't always about saying pretty words. It's about how you make others feel special. I remember one time when chatting with a friend, I not only listened, but also asked questions to help her open up more. The feeling she got from that conversation wasn't because of what I said, but how I made her feel truly cared for. When you create an emotional impact, you not only make a mark in the minds of others, but you also build a deep and lasting connection. Provocative questions can create deep and meaningful conversations. I remember that time I asked a friend, "If you could change one thing in your life, what would you choose?" This question is not just an ordinary question, but a way for her to open up and share deep thoughts that might not normally be easy to say. Questions like these create space for the other person to reflect, open up honest conversations, and help connect two people on a deeper level. When you know how to ask the right questions, you not only get answers, but you also help others express themselves naturally. Storytelling is a great way to stimulate emotions and create connections. I remember that time when I shared a story about my first trip away from home. I not only told about the beautiful sights I saw, but also shared my feelings at that time, the strange feeling and the difficulties I had to face. The story isn't just about the events, it's about how I make the listener feel what I've been through. When you tell stories, you not only convey information, but also create common emotions, making others feel like they are living your story. Creating emotional hooks is one way to keep a relationship fresh and interesting. I remember one time I complimented a friend on the way she handled a difficult situation. I didn't just say, "You're amazing," but I also described in detail the things that really impressed me, like how calm and clear-headed she was. This compliment is not simply a word, but a mark that she will remember for a long time. Genuine compliments, such caring gestures, create powerful emotional hooks, making others feel appreciated and more deeply connected to you. The power of absence is a factor I have learned over time. Sometimes you don't always need to be present to make a connection. I remember one time after a great conversation, I intentionally kept a little distance and didn't text or call right away. This made my friend start thinking about that conversation, and feelings of longing and anticipation begin to arise. When you know when to take a step back and give the other person space, you create attraction and make the relationship more special. This absence is not avoidance, but a way to build anticipation and add value to future meetings.